What's up, everybody? You've got the Wicked Lady Hippy live and at the bar. The bar's at my house, so it's not really a problem. Gee, already, don't I? Let's see, a little background if you didn't check it out in the description. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Let me think here. I'm old. I'm a retired veteran, published author, mother of one, grandmother of two, one of which is also an Army veteran. He got back home from Korea and decided he was done. I would too. I hit the European theater, and we were the first company of women to train with the men and not with the women. Get the movie Private Benjamin. It's pretty good, and Goldie Hawn's got my part. Didn't do as hard as they could have. We had we had airborne rangers for drill sergeants, so we had fun. I went in with rank and found out that when they all fuck up, and they will fuck up, it's a bar. Get over it. It's not for kids. Uh, Whoever has the most rank is going to get screwed royal, okay? And they're not going to even get dinner. Loved every minute of the military, I got to say. I still live next to a base. I'm retired. However, luckily, I'm in still the same city as my son. I don't know how that I've managed to keep in my son's radius of people, I should say, maybe, all his life. And when I had my son, I didn't, of course, expect children. I was going to be career Army and things like that. And still, back then, I guess birth control didn't work unless good Lord wanted it to. And I was blessed with one son and blessed with two grandchildren. And like I said, one's already an Army veteran. Did his time, did re up, though he works very hard. And my son, and a surprise to me, I got to say, has been working. He could almost retire, but he's too young on base, along with his wife. They both have very high clearances. I don't even ask what they do. I've had clearances, and it's not on a need to know basis. I ain't calling them or talking to them about it. I am not everybody loves Raymond's mother. I'm more like, oh God, I can't even think of one. I go to my son's, I call it high holidays at my kid's house. I think they have a right to come home, relax, do what they're doing without me jumping in every weekend and so forth and so on. I didn't see my parents unless I flew into Chicago, and I was all over Europe and Texas. I love Texas, Fort Sam Houston. My step grandson enlisted in the Army as a medic because he wanted to be trained at Fort Sam Houston because he'd heard all my stories. And when he went through the training, he also was sent to Korea. God bless him. Um, and he called us to tell us he hadn't told us until then when he graduated about how much fun he had had, and that he had seen almost a thought everything he remembered from when we used to take them all out all the time before we moved to Augusta. So for like 12 years or 13 years, we also grabbed them like once a month or so to give mom a break. She had three, and we would take them up and let them do things like a Chuck E. Cheese arcade, do all that stuff, and take them tubing, things like that. And they remember he. I was so surprised. I thought he was too young to remember any of that, and it was generally the adults talking. So, but he picked all that up. And God bless him. He's a great medic. He loved Fort Sam Houston. I said it was exactly the same as when I went there, and I loved Fort Sam. I moved back to Texas 5 times as a civilian. Um, so that gives you an idea how much I love Texas. It got to the point though where you had to speak Spanish to get a job. These kind of things. I worked for the state. My husband. Well, I didn't get married till my son was 9, and he's a great father and grandfather, and nobody will claim anything else. Actually, I feel for my son, his biological father was just never in the picture. I don't know why. You don't push those things. And I mean, he could see him whenever he wanted. We used to take him ourselves over there when I had moved back to San Antonio, and that's where he was still. And he had a large drinking problem, bless him. And may his memory be a blessing. He's no longer with us. And he left my son to take care of all those duties when he passed away. And my son worked with his sister, so my son's aunt, and they got it together and got him his military funeral and everything. And I was overjoyed about that. I don't hate anybody, and it's like I've been married twice, of course. The judge says you don't want it. Alma, you don't want anything. It's like if I couldn't take care of my child, I would give him to my husband who could pay for him. He's never had to pay for him till now. Why would he start? And I wasn't being cruel at all. I was just stating a fact. I mean, it was, and my ex knew that. I had no grudges. I should have probably. He really, he was a bad apple, but he had his moments. I'll put it that way. And his son is great. They can retire in a couple of years, a decade or two, because you can't retire it under what 67 or some shit. So they'll literally we retire. I retired at 65. Doesn't make that look good? Y'all are so sweet. Hang on just a second. I forgot to let y'all up in here on live chat. So enough about me. I get started on that and I just blah, 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 blah. So this is the Hippy channel. When I started this, I started it almost 3 years ago. I had a terrible accident last year. So for a year it wasn't up because I literally was bedbound. I had my ankle had been disconnected and there's only two bones in your leg and they were broken in three places very badly. You need stuff and surgery and yeah, all that great stuff. The hurricane hit on the day of my surgery, so no surgery. City was down for 2 weeks, took a month just to do that leg. And so and it wasn't hardly mobilized. It was bad. Uh, it was just a rough time in my life. And I mean, my eyebrows hurt if I moved. So there was no way that I could do it. Um, just my husband getting me up and in a wheelchair so he could just change the sheets and beds because I'm a sticker about every other day. That's got to go. Yeah, I know people that won't do it for a month or so. I'm like, oh my God. So, yeah. And, clean the bed and Lysol and all that. Yeah. If you got somebody in there 24/7 for a year, you got to do all that so that he can get secondary things, especially after the surgery. One of the surgeries lasted 15 hours. And I had just gone through getting surgery on both my eyes. It's like it was a bad year. Now I could see, but I couldn't go anywhere. Now it was funny. They cut me loose some time ago, and I went through physical training at the base, and that was a lot of fun. I loved my guy; he was great. Uh, I mean, he was just great. He was always complimentary. He always used to say that, and I haven't been back to see him. I've done mine at home lately, about 3 months. But he used to say all the time, I was the prettiest one that ever come up in there. So the other ones don't even put on makeup. He says, you look like you're going out for dinner. I was like, I just was cleaning the house. I just got here. He said, you don't clean the house. And I was like, my husband would, yeah, she does. She really does. She, if she doesn't have makeup on by 7 o'clock, I know she doesn't feel good. He's right. There's two things that'll give me away. If my bed's not made, that's even my grandson. If my bed isn't made, something wrong with grandma. And they both know, my entire family knows I'm just over the top about those kind of things. You never know who's going to knock on your door. You can't answer that door in sweatpants and no makeup and hair not combed out. Well, people do. I wasn't raised like that. And so, yes, I'll have. And since my accident, it's with all that surgery, I am not very comfortable with pants to get them. I just have a problem with them. And so I switched during that year so that because I had to see the surgeons a lot. And so, like every couple of weeks. So I ordered a new wardrobe because during that time, you just couldn't put pants on. You just couldn't do it. And I had plenty of dresses. I've always been one of those people. And I worked, except office things I ran. But I couldn't wear suits. That was too much work. So I changed things to like slip-on gowns and with pockets. I love these things. Believe it or not, I hope they're paying their tariffs, but mine came from China and they're very good. They were not very expensive. And after you'd been there a while, you don't pay anything but sales tax, and that wasn't too bad. I'd have, like, this is floor length. I don't think you can see it, and I'm not going to get down. But, oops, I see my belts off. See if I lean back here. I add accessories too. They come with belts, but they tend to not stay and all that. So I adjust things. But it goes to the floor. Well, just above my ankles, this one does. So most of them are like that, or mid calf, or all the way to the floor. You just barely see my shoes because it's so much easier to get in and out of, especially when you're jumping in a hospital gown, you're jumping back, you're doing this. I got to do that Monday. Yeah, I got two tests to do, and it's it was just easier. But several of his friends and so forth came by and saw me because I was badly hurt, and I would have Robert take me outside knowing they were coming, and they were like, "You still dressing like you're going somewhere?" And I thought, no, only when I know somebody's actually coming. Other than that, I'd stay, of course, in the bedroom. It cost me a lot of pain to do those visits, but I enjoyed every one of them. So again, that I started that story 2 minutes ago because I wanted to explain. I have a channel out. It's over a year ago that it's been seen. It's what did I call it? I think I said Lady Hippy at the bar. But I can't. I believe so. I think I only added Wicked in Life, but in any event, look for Lady Hippy at the bar or Hippie at the bar. Either way, I have a problem being called a baby boomer. I'm a hippie. I've always been a hippie. I was born in the last year of it, but only 4 months were left. So I can't see how they could stuck me in that. I'm really not one to be stuck in a category anyway. Which my army captain got a lot of kick out of. Nicknamed me Wicked because I was from Chicago, and I didn't. I had rank, and didn't have a record, had rank, and fell out laughing at him when he jumped out of helicopters and killed people. He said, and I fell out. I'd been up for fucking 4 days. I'm carrying shit. Wasn't like today. You had to shine your boots. You had to do your press. They had to put on right. They'd come up with a ruler and check you. You know, you ran everywhere. You couldn't walk. You ran everywhere. Calisthenics every 20 minutes, and stuff like that. But I was very active at my school. My husband calls my school a resort because it's bigger than the colleges in Georgia. We left Texas, and I agreed to come back from Georgia to Georgia. My husband is a Native American. He's on the chieftain line. In fact, he was chief there for a little bit after his brother-in-law passed away. But then, we just couldn't do it with both of us in full careers. So we handed it over, still in this chieftain line, but we handed responsibility to another. But his daughter then could come to us, and she had run away from home and run away from home, and I had never met her. She kept getting in trouble, and I told my husband, I was like, my son don't do that. So you realize I'm not gonna. It's not gonna fly with me. If I have to nail her window shut, stand out there with a baseball bat, I will do this. She's 13 when we got her. But first, we had her in Texas for a couple of months so she could just have fun. It was summer break, and I knew, living in, they say middle Georgia, is middle hell, I called it. They had shit. They didn't have shit for kids. And I know because my son was only 1 year older than she is. And they treat each other as siblings, and we all got along just fine, except when they screwed up. They screwed up big time, both of them. They didn't do small things. I mean, because I need to write another book. And another piece of advice, folks, I'm adopted. Mm. We were the first kids to be adopted where the government would pay the parents every month that they had the kids till the kids were 18. So we were on the front page of the Parade magazine. Turned out my half brother's wife was looking for us, and the biological mother fell ill. So she went to her house to get things and found, of course, a box she shouldn't have pried open, but she did, and found birth certificates for two girls. And it said Cook County, Chicago, all that. So she knew that the kids were born in Chicago. And she did a little more digging, and there was the Parade magazine. We were on the cover, and there was 3 different pages of us. It was a pretty big freaking article. I didn't want to do it. It pissed me off. But I sat there and I got on the slide for him and stupid shit. My brother and I were both going, yeah, they can talk to you guys. Uh, so, okay, we do this, and she finds it, and it says the last name is Bullock, and they call it, and they get my brother first fucking call, still in the same house. And he says, I give him the numbers, and my sister calls me in a panic. I'm managing a Holiday Inn that's huge, restaurant, everything, bar, all of this, and it's huge. And they're uh, making a Wonder Park right across the street, a water park. And down further from it, there was another thing going on. And so most of the construction guys were with me. And we had the bigger hotel, and they could eat, get drunk, what have you, and not leave the premises. So we had a lot of them every week. They just stayed week for week, and I wasn't willing to let someone else manage all that. I worked 7 days a week. I was because I managed all of that. That's some work, and I'm proud of whatever it is I do. I don't do it by halves. But I would take half days on the weekends. And I gave myself a little break. But I would pop through, make sure everything was running straight. The guys had their rooms, everybody was happy. I would even go to the pool, have a drink. Just clock, I'll go have a drink. Love Texas. But when he could have custody of his daughter, we moved to Georgia. So I had already visited it to meet the biological family. And oh my God, was I glad I was going back to Texas. However, I was at the time deciding to get a divorce and having a family they thought would be great. And somehow I ended up moving to Georgia, which is another story in and of itself. I really ought to write a book. The reason I brought the topic up, people, if you're adopted and you get a phone call from a adopted family member or even from the biological family member, change your name, dye your hair, turn your phone off, don't do anything on social media, leave the state, leave the country if you can. You can come back, give it 6 months. They'll get tired. I don't think that works out the way people think it's going to work out most of the time. It just doesn't work out. I was 30 when I was found. It turns out the family that I was from, they didn't, the women didn't work. They had 5 or 6 kids and they stayed at home. Many of them had never ever been out of the city they had been born and raised in. So, yeah, I popped in on this crowd in a way that was shocking. And one of these days, I'll tell you more about that. Now we're saying I hear Pam Bondi's been fired. Trump, I tell you what, Donnie, you love firing folk too much. You fine. I don't know what happened, but whatever this shakeup was about, it was during this Iran thing, and during the releasing of records, something did not go well. Plus, Dan Bongino had already resigned from the FBI, and I'm worried. I give it that. I'm worried that he's replacing cabinet members in such a fashion so quick. And why? Why? That's got to be one. I wouldn't like to walk into fucking where I was always government mainly, and I in any job that I ever held, to think of walking in and being fired, I would have just, oh my God, I can't even think how I would have done. And one time it did happen to me. I was actually temporary, so I really didn't call it that. But they sent the people that employed me, uh, that had hired me to be employed there. They sent one of them to tell me to pack my things, that I was done, that my job was done, and they no, we don't even want you to stay to lunch. And they escorted me out the back door. Yeah, and they made sure you give it all up that your stuff so you can't get back on the grounds. And I was supposed to have been there till January. This was June. So I did not have any idea what happened there. But from their actions, it was obvious something went wrong. So that's a hard thing. That's a hard nut to swallow. Even though I was only a temporary employee, which I was reminded of. as I was asked what the hell was up and I was being escorted out. But just your job is finished. Did a good job. We'll write you a good reference. Did I get that reference? Oh, fuck no. No, I did not. And still to this day, don't know why. One more thing, I guess, to wrap up the me story. The reason I married my husband was because, of course, I fell in love with him. I took him to Texas. I left Georgia, said, fuck this. After about a year, I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, these people are, because they have a problem with me because I worked. I had a job the day after I got here. And, my husband and I ended up both working for the Georgia State Fair. We built it from the ground up. I did the secretary part, paychecks, so forth, so on. And my husband's out there with the heavy equipment. But we actually built the Georgia State Fairgrounds there. We went every year to the until the 20th anniversary, and then we were like, "Hey, we're good." But we were in on some interesting things on the top of. I also worked in the agricultural building in DC, and we put together the food stamp program that everybody uses today. It had the funny monopoly money then and all that. But I was in on that too. I was in a lot. I've been fortunate, first female company to train with the men. That was my thing. I see women fighter pilots now, and they rock, man. I love you, girls. I mean, they rock. Something I couldn't do. Cheers. I was hoping to get some hippies up here. I like my whiskey on ice. So my husband buys me, he just bought me a whole bunch. He buys me these little whiskey fireballs, the little airplane size. And I love the little whiskey fireballs, but I like my whiskey on ice. The fireball is a cinnamon burst after you have a shot. Now, I'll drink a drink if it's a very strong drink with a very little soda or a hurricane. I like those. But generally, I stick to shots of Jack Daniels, good scotch, and then my fireballs. I just prefer if I don't have time, even though I'm retired. I have not got the time. I'm running too fast here to sit down and actually drink, a drink or even a drink. Just give me the shot. I gotta go. I've been asking for the hippies to come join me. I hope my sound is okay. I haven't seen anybody say anything about it. I may not have any viewers at the moment. I don't have too many. That was why I was explaining this the first channel. I am back. I'm Wicked Lady Hippie at the bar live. That's the only difference. I'm having some trouble. I got four laptops, well, Chromebooks up here, and they're all connected. And I'm having trouble with one of them. It's saying something about caches or something. So I've got to investigate that and clear them. And I haven't had 2 seconds, literally. When I get off, I have to go around. We end up with a cat shelter. So this was all about me today. I feed the cats that are outside. I water them every day, twice a day. They get our cats leftovers with a little bit of fresh, and they have a can of moist food as well, especially the mothers. But I make sure that there's out there. We spend a fortune. My poor husband still works because he says, "Oh, we won't have enough money to buy all this." He's right because we treat the animals out there very well. And he's made homes, and they're all under our big RV, which we're probably be letting go of because it takes so much gas just to get where you're going and back. Now it would be like $150 to go 3 hours away. I wanted to take it up to Cherokee. I like going to the casinos, and I love going by afterwards to pick up my souvenirs from the Cherokee. I mean, I want real moccasins. I don't want the ones from Walmart. I'm picky like that. But he says to my husband, "You picked it. You picked a tough one, didn't you?" He said, "You just don't know." Every time somebody sees me, it's just, I've seen you, X amount of times in the last month. You've never worn the same thing twice. And my husband just busts out laughing. He says, I think there's a problem. If I see her in something twice, I'm going to check the bank account because she had to have gone shopping. He's been very nice to me about that. I grew up poor, but poor does not, it doesn't matter if you're poor. You can still dress at least clean and in your best clothing. When I was growing up, you had play clothes, you had adult clothes, as I called them. And every time I go outside in public, I'm not wearing house shoes to check my mailbox. Even if it were on the porch, it's not. It's like half an acre in front of the house. And we're on the cul-de-sac. So by the time I walk up to the mailbox and get it, and my entire suburban friends here, they all know how bad I was hurt. And that, cakes and stuff came all the time. They're great people. They still are. Um, and Norma across the street, she's now 80, and she worries me. She's getting a lot slower, and her face was just peeling. And I said, "Did you get out in the sun?" And it was kind of winter. Oh, it was winter. And she said, "No, it was just flaking like that." So I went to the store the next day, and I bought her two jars of eau de Olay and to fix that. And she caught me going to the mailbox. She has to sit and watch for me. And she kind of goes, man, she yelled, because she can't walk as well. And at the time, I was still having to use an aid to walk. But I'm younger, I'm decades younger. So I went over there, and her daughters were there, and her son was there, and her grandson was there. And they asked me to come in and have Pepsi Cola. Yes, I still say a Pepsi Cola. I'm from the north. Get over it. And just to talk to me, and I got hugs from all of them because I had just set it in a bag on the door, and I had written a note, as once for day and once for night. And if you like them, let me know, and I'll pick them up for you when I get mine. Because I'm up every month, I think, just about to redo my own. It's not helping, I know, but she did stop peeling, so I was good with that. And they thought it was very thoughtful of me. But I mean, a friend is a friend, a neighbor's a neighbor, and when you get to that age, you should be treated well by everybody. Everybody. If you think somebody needs something, and they're 80 and alone, basically, I mean, her daughters live 4 hours away, and she would never have asked me for it. And when I wrote the note, I didn't think, and I signed my name, love me, and so they were all excited. So I did it again, but this time I didn't put the note in. I thought maybe I'll be sly, and I had put one for her eyes because her eyes were bothering her. And of course, I got the phone call. Get over here! But she didn't call me until her family. Her family comes in about every weekend to stay with her since her husband died. But they also know I look out for her. If I don't see her, I'm at the door. I'm on the phone. Generally, I'm too busy lately, so I'm on the phone. Just doing wellness check. Hey, you all right, babe? I don't know how long I'm going to live. I'm shocked already. I was in a state of shock through my entire 50s. I was like, oh, no way. This can't be for real. I don't know about the rest of you hippies, but I thought I was going to party hard, die, and leave a good looking corpse. I mean, this has got to go. Yes, I do believe in reincarnation. So, talk to me about anything you want to. I don't care what it is. Uh, I got to get a hold of everybody who's also on my Facebook, and I haven't taken time to do that either. And I did allow a couple of new friends on that I know. Um, I and I okayed them, I accepted them. So I need to let them know where to find me because I spend more time doing this than I do on Facebook because I do this and I do it live. I don't drop videos unless you absolutely ask me to because I figure it's like plagiarism. I mean, I wrote a book. I'm an author. Maybe that's what it is. It just seems that I'm taking somebody else's work and putting it up as the reason why I want to talk. And also, it doesn't matter to me whether I have a subject or not up there. I'm probably going to talk about fucking something else anyway because it crossed the stupid mind of mine. So, hippies unite. Come out here and talk to me. grab a drink first. It works great for me. I, oh my husband. It is just. I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, there. Isn't that beautiful? It's beautiful. My husband. Um, we've been renovating, and I got injured really bad. I don't know where that's going to be. Here we go. um, uh, and then with my injury, things didn't get done, and now it's almost like we didn't hardly start. He pulled up all the carpets, we got all the mold up, and we had a lot of work, and to do. And he put in the hardwood floors, and we were going to do the bedrooms. We had a pod outside so that we put everything in there. But then my accident occurred at that point, and so at that point everything stopped. It's driving me crazy because I'm trying to clean, and my husband doesn't clean. Been a year. For me, I take the curtains down and everything in 3 months. If it's been there 3 months and I haven't cleaned it, you need to ask me why. Everything gets swept. Everything gets mopped every day. Every day, you've got this room or that room. I have a thing, and my mom did this too. That's where I learned it from, I guess. Uh, I don't know for sure, but when I walk in a room, I leave it in better shape than I walked in. If that means I got to dust that dresser, I'm dusting that dresser. And if suddenly I've been in that room for 3 hours, because you go down the stuff. The funny thing for me is you'll go in and you'll clean one thing, and you turn around and you find out everything that was on there is over there now. And it can't stay there. So you clean all that, put that back. So it takes a few hours every time I do that. And I do that in almost every room. My husband's kind of funny about it. He'll come in and go, "Where are you?" And I yell, "Paris." Just to see if he'll get on a fucking plane. It hasn't worked yet, but I keep trying. I'm allowed to have my little cigars. It didn't quite come loose there. A friend of mine came by with one of these over 2 years ago here at the bar. No, they won't get on camera. I don't know what that is. They're all scared to be on camera. But I had to try one because I used to smoke cheroots when I was over there from France. And because I sold my Blackhawks have been landing too, and I sold my cigarettes because I lived off base because the apartments were so needed for families. And I just had the one at the time. I didn't even have him when I did have him already, a few weeks old. And I moved into a cottage on a farmer's land. They were great people. I loved them. It's just silly. The only bad thing was the shower, toilet were a building outside, separate. So that was fun. Yes, it was like moving from Chicago to Chicago because you had 15 inches of snow a day. And I used to walk to the place where I caught the bus. And then I went after work, being in the Army, I went cleaned an office building and stuff to make extra money. I sold my cigarettes to pay my rent. That's how I paid my rent. So it's never been one of those, oh, let's go look at this grand manor, And my son, he does stuff that's so sweet too. When him and my husband, I keep moving them, found that I wanted to do a podcast just to try this. I ended up with 2 sets, and my husband got me the golden mic because I thought that was so cute. So again, this is all about me today, isn't it? There's just so much. I mentioned Pam Bondi. I like to mention every time I come up Charlie Kirk. God love you. May your memory be a blessing, and it is. This man was massacred. Was assassinated. It was an execution in front of, over the heads of thousands of young people and millions of people live. And I still don't believe that the furry bunny took his grandfather's World War One rifle and did a one shot, one kill. I dated snipers. That all. That's another book, though. Yeah, that's a motto. One shot, one kill. The kid didn't have any training. I don't know what was wrong with that rifle, but it wasn't a fucking World War One. They could tell me that all day. I'm not gonna believe it. What happened to this kid? They left the one rooftop that you could fire from and hit him without exception. Nobody bothered with that building. So somebody left the window open. So that's an inside job, is what that screams to me. I don't know about the rest of y'all. You can call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. I don't care. Thing it. I love to have a good debate. Hippies unite before they take this away from us. Are you happy with what's going on? I ain't. They took unemployment insurance from me my entire life. Did I get any? Did I use any? Show of hand. No, I didn't. I didn't. They're not giving that shit back to me. Why? Why not? I didn't use it. It was insurance. I didn't use it. Give it back. Ah, they tell you how much your Social Security you're going to get. Then you hear bastards, and I'm not sorry for the language, that sit there and yell, "Oh, I'm paying for the baby boomers and hippies to have a check." No, motherfucker, you ain't. I hate it for you. Read a book. They stole our shit in the 70s. And then they stole your shit in the 80s. Then they stole your kids' shit in the 90s. And then they stole your grandchildren's shit in 2010. You get where I'm going with this, bitch? Yeah. Say that to my face. They frown on that, but I have fun with that. I'm 5'2", and I didn't stop taking karate lessons until I couldn't move as well, which would have been my accident. So, irregardless of my age, I haven't stopped until that year. And since I did, I made sure I have an equalizer. Yeah. We call it painting you. I don't know what y'all call it these days. But if I paint you, that means I'm not going to shoot you once. I'm going to enjoy making sure you still alive, maybe depending on what you did. So get right with Jesus if you come at me. And I do mean get right with Jesus because you toast. I will empty a clip in your ass before I blink. I don't believe in being a victim. I believe like the founding fathers did. Keep your own fucking weapons. That's what they told you to do. Now, what's his name? Obama said, "Well, we cleaned our weapons Bibles and our what was it? Weapons Bibles and something else. I forget what it was now. But yeah, we sure do. Use them. Go in there, get you a carry permit. The life you save may not be your own. These bitches keep showing up in ramps and cars, and I don't know what the fuck all, but they can turn anything into a weapon. And they do show up with weapons. They show up with automatic weapons, or as they're now called, long guns. I don't know what the fuck that means, but I call I call them semi-automatics. You can tell it what you want, but if you had a weapon, you could have stopped it. And there's been 2 or 3 cases where somebody in the crowd had a carry permit, had a weapon, and did stop it before it became more of a massacre. Love the heroes. And this isn't somebody that's gun happy. I have carried since I was 17 when I enlisted every day. I missed one time. Went to well, I ain't going to say which one. I happened to go to a parade, and there was a person in an RV shooting everybody. And I was pinned down with 5 kids, grabbed the mother and the kids, 2 mothers and kids, trying to keep them out of the firing range and undercover with kids. These were toddlers. And I didn't have a weapon. And they finally got him. Or maybe it was maybe he killed himself. It's just many years ago. But I swore right then that I would never ever be without a weapon again. I wasn't 50 feet from that motherfucker. Again, no excuse for the language you think, but this is the hippie show at the bar. I want to say what the hell I want. This is why I call it social Woodstock. But no, I have carried since then. I haven't come across such, thank God, such a horrible thing yet again. But at the same time, if I do, I can at least try. I will at least try to level the playing field. If there's two, you're going to have to make a choice who you get first and who you may have enough time to get second. Please practice. Go get the weapon. Go by the sheriff's office. Take the training. Take time to take your part of your weapon, take it apart every other day. Make that like coffee. You know, that's something you have to do every day. So you're so familiar with that weapon that you could be blindfolded and you'd know how to take care of that weapon if it jammed. Weapons jam. So you need to know how it works. And I mean, be able to take it apart how it works. I do. But I also cheat with laser sight because I'm older now. So it's really not cheating. It's leveling the playing field. Don't come to my house. Don't get in my face with a bullhorn. Yeah, that bullhorn thing's really fucked up. I don't know why anybody puts up with it. I'm allowed since I quit smoking. Well, as I started to say, I'm allowed these while I'm up here online, and they go out. If I talk a lot, as you can tell, so they'll go out. And my husband says, "Okay, you can have those, because I'll take one or two puffs and then it's gone out, and then I'll talk some more. I might light it again." And so he allows me to have that and my whiskey fireballs. I say allow. He makes that possible. I don't buy any because then I would have started smoking. So we keep them here at the bar. And generally, I see you guys only 3 times a week now. It used to be 7. I don't know how I've gotten so busy, but I've gotten that busy. So, and I didn't even look today, except skimmed a couple of things, like with Pam Bondi. And I was sorry to see her go. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Donnie. I like Donnie. Thought he was great on the podcast. I think he's funny as hell. People don't get it. They don't get him, but he's funny. Gulf of America. Cheers. I love that because I tried to relearn Spanish while I was in Texas. You had to have at least a smattering of it if you were going to run an office or, like me, run divisions because I was on base. That gives you an idea of how many white fucking people there was. Be a little George Carlin here. Yeah, the fuck is Black History Month anyway? Y'all ain't had enough of that shit. I've had more than enough of that shit. There ain't no Irish month. There ain't no Native American month. There's no Asian American month. They're motherfucking American. They want to be something else. That should be below American. The next time you stupid bastards see somebody burning a flag and you don't enforce the laws about what happens if you dishonor a flag, then you should be put out, put in stocks, and whipped. You're not supposed to desecrate a flag for any fucking reason. Why are you waving flags in my country when you don't want to leave my country? You want to wave that flag? We'll give you a bus, a parachute. We don't give a fuck. To borrow on Cat Williams, I don't give a fuck. I'd be like the president, Donnie. He don't give a fuck either. He's our dude. That Mike, he's an asshole. There's never been any doubt about that. I've known him all my life or seen him all my life. He's an asshole. But he's a right man. He's not a politician, and he makes no apology for that. They've lied about him. They tried to kill him. They tried to pull him out in the courts. They closed accounts, said they wouldn't bank with the man anymore. They did all of that. And when he stood up that day, he was shot in the ear. They said, "Oh, it's just no." If his angel wasn't busy, he would have been dead. Y'all know that. That's what she was trying to do. That's why that one little corridor was open. I still don't believe that's the assassin. You couldn't get me to say yes to that. I don't care what you did to me. I'd rather die under torture than go, yeah, that kid did it. One shot, one kill, please. But in Charlie Kirk's memory, y'all remember one thing. His reasoning was prove me wrong. He was the sweetest man. He never screamed at anybody. He didn't have a notepad. He didn't have a tablet. He didn't use a smartphone. Or, well, he did when he wasn't up there, I'm sure. But when he was up there, it was him against all of you. And he was right every time. I watched him all the time. And yet I still escaped from me that he had a wife and kids. And then he was political and was working with the Israelis. I didn't know that. I didn't like hearing that they were going to blame the Israelis for his assassination. I don't believe in that either. I don't. No, no, I'm not going to accept that. So there's one anyway. If everybody would get together and try to find out who stole Minneapolis, by now it's not it's a Leering Center. By now y'all should be going, who stole the fucking city? There were people walking into airports with 6 million in cash in their ongoing luggage, their onboard luggage. When were we going to get the idea that I don't think this is good for America? When are these people going to be held as the traitors they are? Every sanctuary city, every sanctuary state seceded from the Union. Let me give you a history lesson here, guys. Maybe you know it already. When did they put the United States in the same sentence as America? Anybody show of hands? Get down. Stop photobombing me. That was no. That was Pixie. We had cats. Um, we added that after we won the Civil War just to make it easy for everybody. I'm sure a lot of you knew that already. So, why are we putting up with cities that say they are not enforcing, not just say it, do not enforce federal laws? And he was being nice. We just won't send you any money. I believe he sent the damn money anyway. I don't want my money there. Show of hands. Who wants their money there? How much money you want to keep giving the government so they can send out condoms? That's what they were saying. Instead, it was going into their coffers. What do you think USAID was? USA? My ass. They used that fucker for a slush fund. If y'all don't believe that shit, look it up. We had to do books. We had to go all the way to the library. You know, if your library they weren't that good in school, you had to go to the National Library. I did. I was reading at college level at 8 or 9 years old, so I got real bored in school. Bad. So yeah, why haven't they been taken out? Why haven't every one of the people that run those cities, run those states, why aren't they in jail? Fort Sumter fired a fucking cannonball. A cannonball. One. It started the Civil War. Fired a cannonball. These guys have let people harass ICE, try to kill ICE, wouldn't respond when they called, actually using 911, going like, there's 12 of us and there's 400 of them. Well, we can't help you out. Shame on you. Shame. Absolute shame on you. Hang your heads. If I were you, I'd never put a uniform on again. Again. Now, my men and women, my soldiers are in Iran. There are boots on the ground. We've done lost 13 of them. I don't want to lose one. This is enough. It was Iraq. It was Afghanistan. Now it's Iran. Now, I like Trump. I agreed that he and the Israelis together did the right thing in taking down their nuclear facilities. But I do also believe that they found out through intel that this wasn't their only thing. And sure enough, these guys are lobbing missiles at everybody. They're not just hitting Israel. No. They're hitting Qatar, Kuwait, Lebanon. They're hitting other fucking Muslim countries. Also, think about the fact that none of the Muslim countries will take the refugees. You're going to ask yourself why. Why do they have to move to London and wear hijab? We don't have a law in London. We don't have a law in DC or anywhere in the United States. Stop that pics that says, well, you got to wear that shit. They look like cousin its, man. Little black cousin its. They got a letterbox. That's what the English call it. They got a little letterbox. They can see it through. They look like little scurrying cousin its in black. You had 4 people under there. Nobody know. Rocket launchers. They showed the guys coming. One particular incident stands out to me in the beginning of the October 7th abduction of those they took. They were running, the people were underneath there, and they had rocket launchers underneath there. They get into the hospital, they're, yeah. Why? are you doing this to the country? I've been asking this sometime. For the last decade, I've asked, who hates America so much that they're killing her? Who's got money enough to kill America? I hardly ever say United States. Again, I don't believe with like Black History Month. Get over it. We were all slaves. If you read your history, and you don't. It's just like I had to teach my grandchildren cursive. I put my foot down, and you got to know this shit. It takes forever to print something. It takes seconds to write it. It's ridiculous. And yet they don't teach them that. So I taught them, like, fuck you. What's this? I am a bitch. It actually says that in the dictionary. My picture's in this. Let's see her. That's okay. This morning I got up and I was like, mm, I probably need to go on the air. It's Friday. Well, crap. What am I wearing today? Open your closet door and go, hey, what makes an over 60 woman look good? That damn door shut in my face. So I hope I managed to put something together. I feel like Joan Collins. I mean, I need work done real bad. I'll never do it. I've had so many surgeries that to have one because I didn't like the fact that I was older, I'd be slapping myself. What is wrong? You've lost your fucking mind. It's things like that. I would like somebody to remember, or at least to try to explain to me why Oxford, Harvard, and all these wonderful places were getting $8 billion in my tax money. Fuck off. By the way, when I mentioned those other places, like, unemployment insurance that you won't ever see again, I'd like to know also why you pay for Medicaid and Medicare. I got news for y'all. When you want to use it, it's not complete. It's not worth the paper it's written on. And literally, it's a paper card. You have to have Part C to make Part A and B work. And how would Part C help A and B work? Anybody? I got a few minutes. Yeah, it's not worth the fucking print that's on it. It's not worth piss. You got to pay an insurance company to get Part C to make Parts A and B work. The fucking worst Ponzi scheme ever perpetrated on the American people, still done by the fucking government. Yeah, the black hoax are probably coming, but I'm bored. Think about it. The same, I tell the people almost every time I get up here, why do you guys run out and vote? And when you do so, why do you spend whatever years you've got before the vote to wear the hats and the bumper stickers and the signs in the yard? It used to be a secret ballot. What happened? You wanted to make sure you knew what your neighbor was doing, or was that vice versa? I think you bitches have been programmed. Y'all need to wake the fuck up and go, wait a minute. The Constitution gave us the right to bear arms. There was a reason. This is why I said go get trained. There was a reason. We used to have formed our own militias. Why would that be? Anybody see what they did in Seattle a couple of years ago? Oh, yeah, that might be a reason. Has anybody noticed that in London, when they started doing the smash and grabs, the Londoners put on their vests that glowed so you could see them. They tied the British flag to them so you could see that. And they went out to try to stop these riots of grab and go. Nobody would have a job. Nobody would have inventory. What are you going to do for a job if they've taken your place and trashed it? Nothing, because the insurance aren't going to pay you. It's New York or it's London. In the particular case, it was London. You know who they fucking arrested, don't you? Yeah, that's right, the Londoners. The same here. The same here in America. It's the stupidest shit I've ever seen. 120 years ago, they would have tarred and feathered these bitches and run them out of town, let alone let them run countries that have literally seceded from the Union. If you do not obey and uphold the law, you have seceded from the Union. It's called civil war. Look it the fuck up. I was hoping Trump would have the balls to get rid of you sons of bitches. And I know they frown on that too, don't they? But y'all need to be gone. You need to stop fucking with my country. Get out. It's time for y'all to be held accountable for treason, cessation, a lot of shit. I mean, I could throw so much shit that would stick to the wall. You wouldn't know a fucking wall was there after 4 minutes. So it's a good thing I don't run the country, isn't it? Think about it. What if I was an advisor? Oh, I got some music playing behind me, so I hope it's not bleeding in because they slapped my hand about that before and said that I couldn't have that in there. I like to listen to music while I'm up here, or even when I'm cleaning. With my leg healing, the one on the right healing really well. I hope there's all kinds of metal in there. So I'm trying to go back to dancing. It's good exercise to do, and I do it while I'm cleaning, and it's fun for me. I don't get out a lot, as you can tell. I've got live chat open, but it must be I don't know, the lunch rush hour. I remember those. We called them two martinis and a Valium. That's why I was in D.C. Used to go to the Watergate Hotel before they blew it up. I went with the senator was always there. I can say his name, bless him. He's gone. But he used to come over and buy me a drink and stuff. I was always with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. I wasn't ever alone. And it was the funniest thing. They would get up there, and one or the other, usually two or three of them, but always this one particular senator, what he usually was sitting next to me. And I don't know if you've seen the pictures of how the seats are arranged, but yeah, he was used to sit next to me. Don't say that. Don't say that. They're going to shoot you. You can't say that here. This is senator. It's a senator. What happened to fucking free speech, people? And he would go, no, no, get her another drink. Don't talk about that. I miss him still to this day. God bless him. And I do like the way that the Israelis say, "May your memory be a blessing," because it is. I'm old, and I've been to too many that have gone, as far as I'm concerned, too soon. We need them. And it's not just my kids' generation, because that boy has a grown boy who's already a vet. So he's not that young either. And we need to see why they're believing in this crap wholeheartedly. Most of them, his generation, are out there protesting. The damnedest thing to me was the protesters are white, old white people. They got nothing fucking better than to go out and fuck with people. Yeah, it's just stupid. Come at me with a bullhorn, I dare you. Make my fucking day. I haven't had a good fight in ages. Yeah, I know they frown on that, but I'm old. I got bail money. I gotta go. This whole thing turned out about me. I don't think that's probably a good thing. But if you see me, we have to do this. Hit the like, hit the dislike so I can have a talk with you. Hit the comments. Since nobody showed up in live chat, I'm afraid that's going to probably go down. Well, it will. I'll pull it down. Please leave a comment for me if you've seen me. If you're a hippie, join me at the bar. If you're in Augusta, Georgia, throw it in the comments if you'd like to come on. I've got tons. We can put you right here at the bar and we can talk and laugh and say how stupid Gavin Newsom is. I'm sorry, but they had it good for a long time. California did. Nowadays, you can't find a star with a rock in Hollywood. I don't like that. I always used to ask, why are they making so much money now? Because most of it wasn't any good. It's not like the old stars. Some of them are good. The last few that have come out, I'm not sorry. I don't have to pay to see them. But I can see I'm going to have to get off. I promise I try anyway, not to do over an hour for my poor husband's sake. So God bless. Have a good weekend. Come and see me on Monday. Watch for me. Subscribe. Hit the button. I got to go, guys. Have an awesome weekend.